All right, welcome everyone to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. Yes, you're welcome, Jen.
Thank you.
Normally I would say good morning because it is where I am, but not necessarily where you guys are watching live or listening or watching or listening in syndication. But nonetheless, we're here with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. With us, as always, is our marketing director and one of our other coaches, Jen Waymore. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Adam.
And we've got some really cool guests for you guys today. This is kind of unique. We haven't done this in a while where we've had two people on the show at one time. We used to do this, actually. We would kind of have a dueling lead gen, as it were, and we'd throw some ideas out there, and we'd have a couple of agents that probably didn't even know each other kind of debate the pros and cons, and it was kind of a cool thing. But for, I don't know, what do you figure, a year and a half now, we've probably only done this with a single guest, so this is a special treat for us and for all of you. And I would like to welcome our guests, Lonnie Clower and Barry Cavanaugh. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Oh,
Kind of scary thinking that this is considered a treat.
No. Well, this is a treat because you guys are going to represent the U.S. in the Olympics in curling, correct? You guys are the U.S. curling team. No, that would be a winter activity. Tennis doubles. No.
Yeah.
All right. Then we'll skip through all that. But if memory serves, you guys are both real estate agents in the Colorado Springs, Colorado area, yes?
That is correct.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, why don't you give us a little bit of background, who you're with, how the two of you came together. It obviously wasn't tennis or curling. So, yeah, give our audience a little background on who you guys are, what you do, how you got into the business, and how you guys got together in business.
Well, this all started over 20 years ago. We both went to real estate school together. That's how we got to know each other. Did real estate together for a few years. Lonnie went and did something else for a while, and then he came back, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. Lonnie's been in, total probably, 7, 8 years?
8 years. Yep.
And we currently work for ERA Shields Real Estate.
Okay. And how did that come to pass? Why ERA Shields?
I'd worked for a couple different ones, and then ERA approached me. I've been with them now for about 12 years, and they just have a lot of good programs. They got national recognition, and they just provided a lot of opportunities for me. And then when Lonnie came back in, that's kind of how he ended up there. And mostly it's probably the national recognition is probably the biggest plus.
And the culture in our company, we have a great culture.
That's a huge one for us. We certainly understand the company culture, and it's kind of an important piece of the puzzle. Why don't you guys tell us a couple of bits and pieces about what makes that culture so spectacular?
Well, I mean, it's kind of ideas are shared, and you don't find that in all real estate offices. Everyone's willing to help each other. We have 100 agents, a little, yeah, we always average around 100, 105. If something comes up, maybe we're out of town and Barry's handling something and I need something else going on, I can always just send an email and I instantly get 4 or 5 responses like, hey, I could help. So it's great.
Yeah, and teamwork and a team environment is certainly a big deal that way, no question. I think it's really important, and credit where credit's due. My mortgage practice, for those of you that are either new to the show or haven't caught us in a while, I am a mortgage broker owner as well, and the team that drives that ship for me is incredible. They make me look like a superhero, and all I have to do is take credit for hiring people smarter than I am. Yeah, so that's a big deal. Well, tell us about your practice. What other kinds of tools, particularly people, do you guys have in place? Do you have a TC? Do you have an assistant? Do you have other agents?
It's just Lonnie and I. He's most of the time I make him the assistant, so he does a good. No, so we have a lot of support in our company. We don't have a specific TC, but we have all the marketing, the accounting, all of that is part of our company. So they do a lot of that stuff for us. But other than that, Lonnie and I pretty much share everything. We, share the buyers, the listings, everything. Some of it we work together, some of it we do by ourselves, just kind of depending on what the situation is with each and every client. So
that's good. And so you guys are basically working in unison on every transaction. So every client knows both of you.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. And tell me, just certainly for my curiosity, and maybe that of our audience, and I know how we do it at my little operation. One of you picks up a lead, and we'll get into the lead and where your clients come from and those kinds of things. But do you immediately and automatically introduce the other person?
Yeah, if it's somebody is, well, even if they're not, if our past clients, we introduce the other person. When we bring them in for a buyer consultation, we introduce the other person, and one of us goes with the people, but we always introduce the other one in case something comes up, they know who they're talking to.
Yeah, it's really smart, and it's one of the very first things we do as well. We've actually got an introductory email that explains who each person is, what their role is, how to reach them. That's certainly a big one for us as well.
Right.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, let's talk about the nitty gritty, what we do here at Just the Tips, what our audience is certainly seeking, which is when you're curling, do you twist the stone? No, I'm kidding. Where do the clients come from? I mean, you guys have been at this game for quite a while, and certainly combined, the two of you have years and years of experience. Is it strictly repeat and referral at this point?
I'd say that probably 80% of our business is.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. As I've gotten older, a lot of clients came from my kids' activities, and now that all my kids are gone, and my wife won't agree to have any more, just so that I can, figure out where my business is coming from. But,
right. No more little league coaching for you. Got it.
So, but we, a lot of our business is definitely from repeat and referral business. We're both part of. I'm not sure if you're familiar with. The group real estate company out of Fort Collins that does the Ninja program.
Of course.
Very strong through that, and that's
Ninja
really
selling.
Ninja selling. That's the real key to that is keeping in contact with your past clients, and the best business you're ever going to get is from your past clients.
Absolutely, yeah. And we Ninja Core. There are a lot of programs out there where, by today's standards, the content may be considered a little old, but the bottom line is that the content that's considered old is because it's the shit that still works.
Yeah.
It's staying in front of people. The phone, we're certainly big on social media. We've got a couple of other blog platforms and HomeBot, a little plug for HomeBot, a local Denver company. But we've got a contact database of probably what's now about 15,000 people, and we try to touch them 40 times a year each. It makes for an enormous influx of repeat and referral business that way. There were probably a half a dozen new leads or new files, new clients over the weekend, and I think every one of them was through that exact methodology, strictly repeat and referral kind of stuff. But let's talk about the other 20%. Are you guys doing anything where there's paid lead gen? What does that ROI look like? What's the other 20% comprised of?
Well, we work with the Cardis program, so relocation.
Yep.
As far as lead gen, we are in the beginning stages of doing a lot more social media. We hired a company for all our social media and advertising. So that's yet to be seen of how that's going to pan out, but it's in the early stages. We should be up and running in 30 days, they say. So.
Okay.
We have 3 farm areas that we work pretty hard, and one of those has been doing that farm area for probably 8 to 10 years. It's been very successful. couple other ones are a little bit newer. We haven't quite gotten we just haven't gotten the roots, let's say, in there yet. So, but we do definitely get a lot from those. You know, a lot of people think you got to do everything online, and but you know what? That darn old postcard that goes out to people, it's amazing how much response you get from that as long as it's consistent.
All right, so
value in it.
yeah, so two huge points right there. And I did want you to elaborate. You did a little. So when we're talking about farming a neighborhood, we're talking about mailing out to that neighborhood.
Correct.
Okay. And you're doing a postcard campaign right now for all three?
Yeah, well,
okay.
it just depends. Some of it's postcards, newsletters. We do at least a newsletter once a quarter. The rest of them are postcards. Some of the postcards are, you know, this kind of
science and art.
Yeah, science and art. You know, so some of it's going to be what's happening in the market. Some of it's going to be, you know, farmers market, or you know, a free ice cream at such and such. I mean, it's just a matter of, you know, you kind of want to hit both sides. Some people care about the farmers markets, others don't. Some want to know, you know, what's their house going to be willing or going to sell for. So.
All right. I like that. I want to get on that mailing list. I do love ice cream. And yeah, I do. The other thing that you had said while we were talking about this particular farming platform campaign is the constant and consistent. And yeah, no matter what you guys listening out there are doing, this will certainly be true for you guys when you get into social media or have this company getting into your social media. Constancy and consistency are two of the biggest factors when it comes to this stuff. The other piece of that I really want you guys to capture on is that, yeah, it's not all about business. It literally, people are less concerned about you being a real estate machine or a mortgage machine or whatever the case may be than they are about who you are, what you're into. Do you like ice cream? Great, we already have a connection because I love ice cream. You know, that kind of thing. But when it comes to mail, and I apologize for those of you that are listeners instead of catching this video, I'm usually not big on mail campaigns. But this is really a cool opportunity for me to express or show what I thought was really cool. I got this envelope in the mail. See if I can hold that up. It's a white envelope with my white background. All right, that's fine. What you guys can kind of see here on the edge is a picture of a house. And it's my house on the envelope. And when I open it up, it's just some propaganda from an insurance company. This is Antonio Pacheco with Allstate. He's actually in the downtown Denver area, 1165 South Penn. And there is another picture of a house in there, and it's my house. It's the original photo from when the builder built it. Landscaping's not done, garage door isn't done, but he put my house, the original photos of my house, on the envelope and on the flyer. And I'm not in the market for insurance. I'm certainly not going back to a captive company. I ditched Allstate, I don't know, maybe a year ago, after 20 years of loyalty, although neither here nor there. But I thought that was really a cool and creative mail campaign, and I'll bet it cost him a fortune to personalize every envelope with the photo of the homeowner's home on the damn thing. Yeah, it really blew my mind. I looked at it when I got it in the mail. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, my house actually used to be those colors. Okay. 20 years later.
I bet you thought it wasn't a picture of the inside of your house.
It depends on the day. Yeah, that would be a little creepy, although, yeah, there's plenty of creepy out there. But, yeah, I wouldn't want anybody seeing what the inside of my house looks like today, for sure. So, tell us, how long have you been doing the mail campaign? These three neighborhoods?
For that one farm area, the one that 8 to 10 years, I've pretty much done that nonstop every month for 8 years.
Wow, that is impressive. That's the kind of constancy and consistency that's gonna bring people to your phone, to your email, to your office. Very cool. And has it always been a postcard campaign?
No, I've done a lot more than just the post. It's pretty much been between newsletters, postcards, but I've also sponsored a concert in that neighborhood I did for 7 years till doggone COVID hit. Bring a dumpster into the neighborhood every spring for cleanup. Just things.
Brilliant.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Just give me, a lot of those people in that neighborhood know me and will run into me at a store and say, "Hi, Barry, how you doing?" And unfortunately, sometimes I don't know who they are. But it's just because of what I've done.
Okay, that's not a bad thing.
Nope.
And when you guys start really running and bustling some social media stuff, you're gonna get more of that. You're gonna, assuming those of you listening, if your social media really is more about the who you are than what you do, and if people don't know what you do, you got to go back to marketing 101. Everybody you come into contact with should know you're in real estate, in mortgages, in insurance, whatever the case may be. But as we go through the social media campaigns, as we go through these mail campaigns, as we put out dumpsters, as we sponsor concerts, etc., people really learn about who we are, even though we don't know who they are. So having this paparazzi-esque effect of people approaching you saying, "Hey Barry, how are you? How's your wife? How's your kids?" Whatever the stuff you talk about in your social media, in your video work, yeah, you're going to come across more and more people all the time who know you because you're putting that out there, even though you've never met, which is actually really, really cool stuff. All right, so let's really hit the big bag, hit the heavy bag with it. 8 years, single community. How many deals do you think that's generated for you?
I'd say that it probably averages 5 to 7 a year.
That's
awesome.
40 or 50 deals out of those kinds of campaigns.
I'm sorry. Probably one of the biggest ones that came out of there is we had a builder that lived in that neighborhood, and that builder had a bunch of spec homes, and he contacted us, and we ended up getting all those listings. I'm sure we would have never gotten those without doing that neighborhood. So
That's kind of how we formed the partnership there too. We were working together, worked well together. We're like, well, why don't we just do this?
You know, for somebody, me, who's not real big on snail mail campaigns, obviously it takes something pretty impressive for me to not just throw it in the circular file cabinet. That's unbelievable. I mean, eight years of farming a neighborhood, mostly by snail mail. Obviously, the sponsoring of concerts and the dumpster is a brilliant idea. I'm stealing that one, by the way. I literally just had one next to my house for the last couple of weeks, and a couple of neighbors asked, "Hey, can we throw some crap in there?" Sure, of course. But I could go hang my damn company banner on it and notify the whole neighborhood through Facebook groups, "Hey, go ahead and throw your garbage in there." Yeah, it's brilliant. But the ROI of 50 deals, give or take, over 8 years' time for what would be a nominal spend on this stuff is huge. I hope our audience really picks up on how sharp that is. And again, the majority of it, guys, be constant, be consistent. That's the kind of thing that'll really pay dividends. All right, so tell us about your impending social media campaign. What are you guys picturing? What is this going to look like? Are we going to do cool graphics? Are we going to do video? What's the skin?
Yes and yes, they're telling us.
All right.
Putting us in front of everybody. So this is a Facebook Live today is probably a little practice for us.
Okay. Well, and Facebook Live's a big piece of the puzzle, no question. Social media loves original organic content. That's it. If you're copying things, if you're sharing things, if you're posting outside URLs, the algorithms in social media, most of them anyway, are going to suppress that, particularly outside links. Facebook doesn't want anybody clicking away from Facebook, for example. So we've got to be really calculated, again, constant and consistent about what we do in our social media work, but there is nothing more original and organic than live video. Okay. Now, truth be told, while we are live, in essence, there's a little bit of a delay here because we're running this through an open broadcast system, which enables us to do graphics and captions and those kinds of things. But yeah, live video is huge. For those of you listening, social media loves original and organic content. Nothing more original and organic than live video. So yeah, there's your tip from Lonnie and Barry today. Go ahead and get started on doing what they're eventually going to go ahead and get started on doing. But yeah, good stuff. Okay, and you want to give us a little insight as to who this company is, what they're going to offer to do for you?
I don't know why we can't. It's called Curator.
Curator. Okay. Jen, are you familiar?
I have not heard of them. Are they local?
They're based out of Boston.
Oh, so not.
Okay.
No, not local. Sorry.
That's interesting.
In Denver that's been very successful or has really liked it, and he's kind of the one that introduced us to it, and so
we kind of stalked his social media and websites, and we like the content he gives.
Cool.
Are they going to do all of the social platforms? Instagram, LinkedIn, all of it?
It's just Facebook for now.
Just Facebook.
Instagram, yes, because it links.
Cool.
Yep, that makes good sense. And guys, there's a ton of social media out there, right? I mean, Jen, what's the list in our coaching program alone? Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Clubhouse, TikTok. Did I cover them all? That's all of it?
But then there's like because then you've got Instagram Reels and Instagram TV, and so the list is endless.
It's endless.
That's why we're having somebody do this for us, because talking about.
Good answer. And guys, and not necessarily just the two of you, because I do think you're kind of nailing it down here. Figure out where your tribe runs. Where is your target client hanging out on social media? Because that's your audience. You guys, social media is an audience. And I loved that originally Zuckerberg was about college kids interacting. And then it really became about friends and family. And actually, we kind of reverted to some of that within the last few years, particularly around the time where Facebook was in front of the Senate committee hearings. But it's not just about friends and family anymore. It's an audience. You got to treat it as such. Your Facebook friends limit is 5,000. That's a lot of people. Your Instagram audience is virtually limitless. I guess that's true of Insta, of Twitter, so on and so forth. In fact, Facebook may be the only one that limits you. Is
LinkedIn
that
limits, but it's 30,000.
30,000? Okay.
Oh, that's why I don't let me add anymore.
Oh,
Okay.
we're good.
Yeah, we got time. I think I would be long buried by the time I would get to 30 or 1,000 connections on LinkedIn. It is a lot, no question. But yeah, I would say that for where you guys are at in your career, your longevity, your audience, your age, sorry, that's not a knock, Facebook probably is where your tribe is hanging out. So yeah, Jen's is probably more along the lines of Insta. Jen's probably got more interaction in her group. Millennials, sorry Jen, although you're a geriatric millennial now, I know. Not quite.
I'm right on the line of geriatric, thank you.
All right. So as Grandma Millennial goes, Instagram is really her tribe. And for me, I'm just a little older, a few months older than Jen, or maybe 15 years, one or the other. My tribe is running around on Facebook. There's no question about it. Well, there's plenty on Twitter. Who isn't? And LinkedIn, of course, but obviously we're talking about very different types of platforms when we're debating between Facebook and LinkedIn. But I'm pretty stoked to see what this company is going to do for you guys. And the Facebook world is huge. Your page, your business page, groups, chats, rooms, marketplace. And there's so many things you can be doing on Facebook, not just for the exposure, not just for the lead gen, but a lot of things where you can influence Facebook's algorithm, improve your edge rank, and make sure that more of your personal audience is seeing more of what you're doing. That's really a big deal. What do you think are some of the biggest highlights of Facebook right now, Jen?
Well, I was going to say my thought immediately went to these neighborhoods that you guys are farming with postcards, is making sure that there are Facebook groups for those neighborhoods that you guys are a big part of, and not, one of the biggest mistakes we see is realtors just, oh, my new listing, but like the things you're actually sending in those mailers, like, hey, have you checked out this ice cream shop, or have you been to this new restaurant that just opened, that kind of stuff, and really is another opportunity to add value to those neighborhoods, but in a digital space instead of physical marketing.
Yeah, very true. And people who are interested in homes know where to go find new listings. Yeah, not a secret, right? Whether they're using the Realtor.com or the Zillow.com or the RE Colorado or whatever the case may be, yeah, that is not. People aren't going to Facebook to look for new properties for sale. Let's put it that way. Not their forte. That is not Facebook's forte. But yeah, the opportunity, and Jen's right. Groups, huge. Neighborhood groups, even bigger. And yeah, the opportunity to really let those same neighborhoods that you're farming know who you are in digital groups, particularly Facebook groups. Yeah, I don't know that you can even put a tag on that. It's literally invaluable. Yeah, very cool stuff. Very cool. And what's on the horizon for you guys? What comes after getting this social media or this Facebook program and platform launched? What are you guys going to do in 22, 23? God, it's weird labeling years 22 and 23,
Yeah,
but.
Very weird.
I haven't even thought about that as years yet.
Just trying to get through 21, right?
Right.
In my mind, it's still like December 140th of 2020. So, yeah, again.
Well, Lonnie's really pushing us to get an assistant so he doesn't have to do that job anymore.
Correct. We're gonna branch out.
So, and that's really kind of the key is that is to try to take a few things off of our plates that right now we probably shouldn't be doing, and hopefully with we kind of get this social media and some of these things going, that will help us to get to that point.
I see Jen grinning, so this is a big piece of the puzzle for us too. Right now, all told, I probably have about 8 or 10 support staff handling just my production. Okay, and there's a reason for that and the way that our team structure works. But I'm going to make you guys the victims of my normal spiel here. If you hired somebody for 20 hours a week at $20 an hour, you'd free up 80 hours of your time, 80. Could you find one more deal in 80 hours?
I would hope so.
Okay, so the math would pay them about $1,600 a month. Does one deal pay you more than $1,600?
Yep.
Yeah, you guys need an assistant.
We are the victims here.
Yeah, I am victimizing you here. You're victims of not having help. Now, I do want to warn you that one of the biggest issues right now, of course, is finding people that want to work.
Yeah.
It is tough. We've been looking for a new team member, oh gosh, for probably over a year now. And some of those, and like you guys mentioned a half hour ago, the biggest piece of that puzzle is fitting into the culture. Right? I can teach someone the job, I just can't teach them a new personality. If they don't fit in with the other half dozen people, then it's not going to work. So yeah, that is definitely a big piece of the puzzle. But yeah, I would fully support that. And I'm going to give you guys a quick tip. And for our entire audience, make a list of everything you do during the day for a week. Everything that has to be done that day, during the week, during the month to get deals closed. Figure out what's on that list that is not high dollar activity, that it cannot be you, and pay somebody else to do it. Okay, the social media stuff's a good one. Farm that out. I'm going to give you guys an embarrassing example, but we do a video blog every week as well. For those of you that haven't seen the weekly little tip, that's what it's called. And I don't know, we've been doing the video blog for about 12 years. And I would say it's not even been a year that I finally agreed to cough up the editing duties.
Oh, it's been 4 months, maybe.
Oh, really? Ugh.
Yeah, it hasn't been long.
Yeah.
It has not been long.
I would spend a couple hours every Saturday morning doing it. And eventually Jen really was the catalyst in making sure I no longer did it. The video quality, the editing quality is just as good as I would expect. It cost me, $25 a week? Mm-hmm. And it freed up a couple of early morning hours on a Saturday. Yeah, no brainer, no question. So thank you, Jen, and thank you, Julie. She's our video editor. Many thanks to Julie for all kinds of virtual assistant type things that she does for us. But yeah, absolutely. All right, so now we know what the next step is for you guys as well, which is really, really cool. And yes, Jen, I get the sign language, as different as it will be for our presentation coming up to the Business Association. I'm not allowed to acknowledge that we are running out of time, but we are. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This has been very educational.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Jen, you want to take us home?
Yeah, if you are watching us, you can see our text code at the bottom of the screen. If you're listening, it's text TIPS to 63566. There's a whole bunch of information that comes back there. You can see our latest videos, including the weekly little tip we were just talking about, recent episodes of How I Met Your Mortgage. You can book a free hour of coaching with Adam and me. You can get a copy of Adam's book, Just the Tips. And the biggest thing right now, in my opinion, is you can get information on the 5th annual Mile High Mastermind, which is this September at DU, September 24th, 25th. 2 full days of content, lots of social media stuff. We have Adam's going to talk about how to get published and different writings. We're going to talk about team structure, so you got a little bit of a sneak peek of that today, as we victimized our guests on the show today. We're going to do social media breakouts, everything from Clubhouse to LinkedIn, so no matter what level of social media you're at, there'll be something for you. So again, text TIPS to 63566.
Very cool. And again, guys, thanks for joining us. I know it's hard to take some time out on a Monday morning, but we really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in, either watching us live or watching or listening in syndication. And we will see you guys next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage.